The following is from the Academy of Self-Awareness series, which represents an egalitarian community of individuals whose consecrated lives are devoted to the truth of being for the betterment of mankind. The title of this self-awareness offering is Predestination Begins in the Imagination, as the ontological awareness of Gordon Gardner. If anyone anywhere reaches out for direction, those who have the answers must be willing to share, but never to evangelize. For the Master of Destiny, the answers have been received, the mystery is solved, individuality is substantiated, originality is established, equality is recognized, fulfillment is bestowed, freedom is granted, and security is confirmed. Life is an individual proposition, and living it with spiritual integrity is the sole obligation of each person. The Holy Bible and all other Holy Writ are full of clues, but those who do not separate the wheat from the chaff remain literal fundamentalists, who are permanently confused and in continuous conflict with other ideologies. Anything that I can imagine is possible. Therefore, anything that I cannot imagine is impossible. One thing that I cannot imagine is that there was a beginning to creation, or that creation will ever come to an end. Although since all curved space universes, like the one we know so little about, that we call our universe, has a beginning somewhere in space and comes to an end somewhen in time. Numerous other universes, however, have been mushrooming continuously throughout infinity for eternity. Our universe is merely one of the incalculable numbers of universes which fill distances of space for durations of time. I am sure, through inductive observation and deductive reasoning, upon my intuitive insights, that space is curved in directions of countless infinities, and that time is bent in durations of incalculable eternities. This makes me aware that we humans are not merely three-dimensional creatures, but are multi-dimensional, multifaceted cosmic individuations. Nor does it matter that the majority, with the normal emotional intellects of the restricted personalities, are not cognizant of this veritable fact of creation. The cosmic self of the Creator-created creation, which pervades the consciousness of the cosmos, is a solitary creative source, with all three states in itself, since all three states are one infinite eternal estate. This solitary source consciousness is the omnipotence of nature, the omniscience of mind, and the omnipresence of spirit, which permeates every particle of every particular issue. This means that the source consciousness and the issue awareness are one source issue conscious awareness, which makes the cosmic self both the immanence and the transcendence of the everywhere present Godhead. Inasmuch as the center of the Godhead is everywhere, because it has no circumference, each issue is therefore a point of awareness with the Godhead at its center. The Godhead directs the course of the mineral, plant, animal, human, and all the states beyond, from the subatomic, atomic, molecular levels of being. The all-pervading Godhead indwells every particular particle of matter with its all-powerful, all-knowing spirit, which gives everything form simply for the joy of expressing its love of existence. Within the least micro form and the most macro form, spirit abides indescribably, intensely alone and unrecognized, yet it is perfect, regardless of how imperfect its host may seem. Deliberate upon and do not doubt this presence. Know that it is a divine patron and devoted tutor that can and will fulfill each of us with its infinite love, free each of us with its eternal truth, and secure each of us in its absolute wisdom. All we must do is open our minds and make our hearts receptive to this presence, which is the only defense against it being alone and our loneliness, inasmuch as this spirit, this presence, this perfect vitality is our true and actual self. To know thyself is to realize the spirit of the living universe, and to live, move, and preserve your unrestricted individuality at the apex of awareness known as immortality. To know thyself is to belong to thyself, and to have dominion over your eternal life as a free soul throughout the boundless and terminal cosmos. Inasmuch as the solitary self of the indivisible cosmos and the singular self of the individual person is but one cosmic self, we are each of us attuned to the infinite and at one with the eternal on the soul plane of existence. To realize this ultimate reality is the enlightenment experience, which is to be in an exemplary state of existence, awareness, bliss. Inasmuch as the love, truth, wisdom attributes within consciousness are undefiled feelings, consecrated thoughts, and exemplary actions, they are the expressions of enlightened persons who have realized that predestination begins in the imagination, each eternal now moment. To be an enlightened person is to be an illumined master of destiny, who is internally inspired and not externally influenced. The individual soul is the source of ultimate light, because it is made in the image and likeness of the Godhead. We humans do not have a soul, but each of us is a soul, which has a particular body, as an abode to dwell in, and a vehicle to move about in, while we are pilgrims for a time and space. Not to be fully aware of this ultimate reality is to be a prisoner of space and bondage to time, suffering with a painful identity crisis. The fake ego, the false self, and the counterfeit personality can never know the love that fulfills, the truth that frees, and the wisdom that secures. It is not until love is penetrated by truth within the individual psyche that wisdom can be conceived as the path of the pilgrim. There are no wise personalities, but there are free persons who walk fulfilled and secure in wisdom. It is the psyche that is the source of the instinct, intuition, integrity, which are desires, decisions, and directives of the soul. It is the soul that is the source of the initiative, insights, inspirations, which are the love, truth, wisdom essences. It is of the Godhead. It is the soma, meaning body, which is the source of incentive. Unless the 7 mind powers of incentive, instinct, intuition, integrity, insight, and inspiration are free-flowing, a psychosomatic condition will be produced as one type of disease or another because of the lack of harmony. This makes a hell on earth for the inharmonious personalities who are externally influenced by the out-of-order established order. The kingdom of harmony is a heaven below the same as above, which means paradise is regained, and a natural spiritual rhythm permeates the earth for those who have undergone the creative death of the ego, fabricated, self-conscious personality. This also means the dissolution of all the personality's cherished ideas, ideals, ideologies, beliefs, concepts, opinions, assumptions, conclusions, and all of its other mundane attachments. To be dispossessed of the ego self of personality is to be freed from the dweller on the threshold of the conscious mind, which is the removal of the conditioned intellect and the reactive emotions. With the normal emotional intellect replaced by the natural spiritual integrity of the soul, the psyche and the soma of the integral person are now clearly expressed as the undefiled feelings, consecrated thoughts, and exemplary actions of the Godhead. Having established womanhood and manhood, these integral human beings can emphatically state with cosmic impunity, the I am that I am is the same I am that God is, inasmuch as the point of awareness that I am is at the center of consciousness that God is. Having had an enlightenment experience as a result of moving in harmony with the cosmos, These integral human beings attempt to share with others how to practice the presence of the Godhead through the principal intelligence power of the I Am affirmations. Inasmuch as whatever we feel, think, and utter after I Am is what will inevitably and eventually transpire in our lives, we must never use the I Am affirmation in vain. The Lord of the living universe claims but one name, the I Am that I Am, for that is my name from generation to generation forevermore. Exodus 3, verse 14. To take the Lord's name in vain means to misuse the I Am affirmations, which is to misqualify the cosmic life energy. The Supreme Godhead is the everywhere present cosmic consciousness, the all-knowing cosmic reason, and the all-powerful cosmic life energy. This consciousness reason energy is emanating from, radiating in, and vibrating as each and every form which comes into being. The indwelling Godhead is the divine patron and devoted tutor which gives each of us human being simply for the joy of expressing the love of existence. Integral human beings, because they have the eye of a seer and the ear of a sage, have developed an ontological cognizance which could be called theonosis, meaning divine knowledge. This divine knowledge, however, must be perceived by way of intuitive insights and cannot be conceived through academic studies. In other words, where philosophy and theology end, theonosis begins, inasmuch as a theonostic person is in congruence with the Godhead and is therefore experiencing an updated revelation, whereas philosophy and theology is outdated. Even though the philosophical doctrines and the theological dogmas are still in use, they are of no use whatsoever to a true seeker. All mystics, since time immemorial, have sought through devotional meditation to revise and refine their conscious congruency with the everywhere present and therefore indwelling Godhead. Their invocations are directed with but one intention, which is to know the will of the Godhead for them and to be able to act with the creative principle intelligence power of the Godhead. This requires a feeling, thought, action equanimity, which means they are able to maintain a composure of mind regardless of life's essential vicissitudes and necessary stresses. Mystics, because of their theonosis, are free from all selfish desires, the limitations of chronological time, and the confusions which abound in the reactive conditioned minds of the academics who are bound by the doctrine of dualism. The doctrine of dualism has infected all of the man-made ideologies with a worm's eye view of reality, because the adherents to this ideological credulity are fooled by what seems to be in accordance with their extremely limited five senses. Mystics, however, substantiate their cognizance by way of the indwelling divine patron and devoted tutor, and therefore their common sense is enhanced by the uncommon sense of the Godhead. To be fooled by appearances always results in a limited view of reality, because appearances are merely the physical, material phenomena which the five senses common to most creatures observe as reality. There is a vast disparity between the intellectual academic and the integral mystic, inasmuch as the former is left brain disoriented, while the latter is whole brain oriented. The intellectual academics continue to develop their IQs through reading various books and documents which involved them in an intellectual quagmire resulting from an information overload. They attend lectures given by other intellectuals who are mired deeper in the quagmire than they are. The integral mystics, however, are constantly involving a greater awareness of the higher realities by tapping into the source of their individual genius, which is the indwelling divine tutor and devoted patron. Integral mystics are independent, autonomous beings whose minds are in a consecrated state of equanimity, harmoniously balanced between the immensity of that which is known and the infinity of that which is unknown, with nothing on them but peace. All mystics get to know anything they need to know immediately and without effort, inasmuch as their 7 mind powers are free-flowing with the essential revelations for maintaining harmony with the cosmos. We are presently entering into the age of light, wherein we must each of us, on an individual basis, fully realize that we are the progeny of light. To quote the mystic Jesus, "If thine eye be single, thy body shall be full of light," which simply means that the light of pure reason is welling up from the root of knowing at the core of being. Any and all mystics who are worth their salt must by their very nature be rebel, rabble-rousing radicals. The fathomlessness of their energetic nature, the unique universality of their holistic mind, and the limitlessness of their dynamic spirit is attuned to and at one with the nature, mind, spirit of the living universe. The IQ of the intellectual academics is measured by the quantity of information each has managed to accumulate. The genius of the autonomous mystics, however, is amplified in exact accord with the quality of correspondence between the indivisible consciousness of the entire cosmos and the individual awareness of the integral person. The world of the intellectual is therefore quantitative, whereas the universe of the genius is essentially qualitative, which makes the difference between dualism and holism. The genius could be said to have a high QI rather than a high IQ of the intellectual, meaning, of course, a qualitative integrity rather than intelligence quota. Theognosis is amplified through a quality of expanding awareness, and theology is measured by the quantity of accumulated information. Those at the top of the church-state science hierarchies are mired the deepest in the intellectual quagmire of intelligentsia and academic learning. So they suffer with the three tyrants of hypocrisy, perversity, and stupidity. There is no top or bottom in the ever-expanding awareness of mystics, because they are free-flowing egalitarians who bask in the oceanic consciousness of holism. So they enjoy the 3 supplicators of sincerity, harmony, and sensibility. Archbishops and popes, presidents and prime ministers, and the overachievers in the realm of science, although they are the puppet masters, are the most deeply immersed into the mass mind sphere, which is the collective human unconscious overflowing with the archetypes of madness that keeps the great and crucial conflict of an emotional intellectual plague forever thwarting the human evolution. The natural spiritual evolution of humanity is fully dependent upon the unrestricted individuality of integral persons who have had the enlightenment experience attained through acting upon the admonition to know thyself. To take seriously the often repeated admonition to know thyself and to act and finally achieve this apex of awareness is to realize all that is verifiably knowable, since to truly know thy actual self is to sincerely and intimately know the cosmic self. The cosmic self is a divine solipsist, in that it is all that exists, and we seemingly separate selves partake equally of its cosmic essence. The I am that I am of the cosmic self reveals that all that has ever existed, all that exists now, and all that ever will exist is a consummation of the consciousness that I am, and the I am awareness that you humans are is the same I am that I am, because the absolute reality that I am and the relative reality that you humans seem to be is ultimately the same reality. The Western morals, the Eastern ethics, and all of your mundane values, as well as the general standards of your human society, are not at all relevant to the consciousness that creates, the life that immortalizes, the love that fulfills, the truth that frees, the wisdom that secures, the spirit that purifies, and the power that exemplifies your sacred existence, which is an example of my divine persistence. I am the one which becomes the many, but you are the many who must become the one. Good and evil, along with all other formulated dualities, are the limitation and ignorance of a determined intellect doing battle with the capricious emotions. Duality binds the reactive conditioned minds of the restricted personalities who make up the painfully conformed masses to a blind faith, vapid hope, loveless charity doctrine, which propagates the extreme inanity of a capricious Father God in a distant heaven, doing battle with a determined fallen devil in a not-so-distant hell. The reactive conditioned minds of these adherents to credulous nonsense are full of fear, guilt, and animosity, which continuously bedevils the masses and their environmental conditions. Fear, guilt, and animosity is the only devil, and it dwells in the hearts of hypocritical fools who accept the preachings of churchianity as being the last word on how to live. These good people are noted for their unconditional scrupulousness, but because of it, they are quite capable of absolute unscrupulousness, which the history of Judeo-Christian religiosity verifies very clearly. The minds of those who claim any portion of diversified Christendom as a way of life are closed to reason, and their hearts exclude the possibility of the intuitive insights which are essential for enlightenment. A sound mind is one that is capable of receiving intuitive insights with the aptitude for deductive reasoning, which is the meditative mind of a contemplative person who trusts the infallible wisdom of the higher self. The vast majority of people in the world are fools because they trust their reactive conditioned ego self, but the secure few who trust only the inner authority of their higher self walk fulfilled, secured, and free. Within the hearts of these adept persons, infinite love has been penetrated by eternal truth, and the incorruptible wisdom of the higher mind has been conceived as the undefiled knowledge of the hearts. These pilgrims for a time and space are the illumined adepts who are inwardly directed from the root of knowing. The feelings of each is therefore undefiled, while every thought is consecrated, which assures that all actions of these awakened ones will be exemplary. The purpose of life, however, is definitely not to emulate these illumined adepts, but is rather for each human being to be a pure exemplification of the indwelling source consciousness of the higher self, and therefore emanate the love, radiate the wisdom, and vibrate the truth as a cosmic individuations, each representative of the higher mind which pervades the cosmos. Cosmic individuations are inseparable and undifferentiated in essence from the indivisible consciousness of holism, inasmuch as the living universe manifests each of these illumined adepts as it imagines them and likes them to be. I thank you.